Well, the selected scriptures throughout the season of Epiphany, and that is our celebration today, the Feast of Epiphany. These scriptures that we will read, these scriptures that we will study, will help us to understand Jesus' identity as God's incarnate. And it begins with the revelation of the great star that the Magi followed. The first outside of Jesus' own family to understand the importance of his birth. Can you imagine for just a second setting out from your homeland with the purpose of finding a baby guided only by a star? That really kind of sounds crazy, doesn't it? Well, this is exactly what the Magi did. Of course, it's not too far off, as the Magi did have stars in their wheelhouse. These Magi were stargazers, or in some words, they were astrologers. And they are the ones who set out on a pilgrimage in order to find and then worship the King of the Jews, who had just been born. They were most likely 3 members of the priestly caste of Zoroastrianism, noted for their study of the stars as part of their own religion. So they didn't even believe in a monotheistic God. But once they saw the star, they moved. And that's why it seems fitting that these stargazers, these Magi, are part of the story of the entry of God into the world in the form of a teeny tiny baby. They, along with the shepherds, journey to find a baby that somehow they all knew would make the world as it had never been before. The unlikeliest group of folks took the unlikeliest journey to find a king that their hearts had been waiting for. And perhaps this is the reason why Herod had a sudden interest in this baby's birth. Herod pays attention because it might threaten the removal of his own power. Remember, Herod was always about power. And I'm not sure if the Magi picked up on this craftiness of Herod or his ill intentions, but God came to them in a dream, just like God came to Joseph in a dream. And God told them not to return to Herod, to leave the country and go another way. And so they obeyed God, and they left by another way. These Magi, they were keen in their sensibilities, proper in their adoration and worship, and wise in knowing and obeying directions from God. All of this from those who weren't really supposed to know or understand any of it. And yet they did. As I spoke on Christmas Eve, the shepherds were the outsiders. Again, the Magi, too, are outsiders. They are really the ones who know what it's happening in the story that's being written. God seems to do whatever it takes to reach out to embrace all people. God announces the birth of the Messiah to shepherds, through angels on Christmas, and to the Magi via a great, big, beautiful star on Epiphany. We are like the Magi too. All of us in this room, if you have shown up here, are on a quest, a journey, a pilgrimage. And I hope the pilgrimage that you are on is one in which you're seeking the sacred light of the world. There's another word for it. It's the spiritual path. Sometimes the journey is literal, outward and away, but often we journey inside. This is not only for our sake, but for the sake of others as well, that we might carry and share this light that we have been given. And once we have that light, we can't help but want to share that light. If you remember in Advent, we kindled a light in the darkness and watched it grow over the weeks as we anticipated Christ's birth. During Christmas, we celebrate the arrival of the light of the world. And in the season of Epiphany, we crown the season of Christmas with the fullness of that light. And it is my hope that we will carry it deeply into our hearts, but also out into the world. So I asked this morning, what invitation is God holding out to you within Epiphany this year? Another pointed question, is there a journey you need to make, or the fulfillment of a promise you are still seeking? Is the light that once burned brightly just barely aglow? Or is it extinguished? Or are you at a place where you can courageously walk before those who need to see the light that burns so brightly within? To offer hope, to offer comfort, to be a reminder that better days will and do come. Another pointed question. Are you willing to be the light for those who sit in darkness? Well, whatever circumstances you find yourself in this morning, darkness can and never, ever will overcome the light. Ever. The great comfort of the light of Epiphany is that it's both balm and motivation for something better, for something more. And that, my friends, I feel is the real gift of what happens when we shine a light in dark places, especially in our own lives. What happens is we see as we haven't seen before. We recognize pain and discord perhaps we weren't willing to see before. And when light has made its way in, when eyes are finally open, when we're finally willing to lighten the dark places inside, this miracle happens. Space opens up for us to linger and to rest in the not knowing. This is a hard place to be at times, but the hope of Epiphany is that the light of Christ will be with you and with me, illuminating and revealing all the ways that Christ is present to us. Dear people of grace, may we courageously venture, as the Magi did, to those unknown places. And the Owen family, that's the road that you are on. Wherever they may be, for you and for me, believing that the light of Christ will lead us, strengthen us, and show us a way of life we haven't known before. I say this as much to myself as to you. Be brave as you follow the light, knowing that the light always overcomes darkness. And as a beautiful example of that this morning, we celebrate the baptism of Allison Clementine. What a beautiful name. Allison, may you be an example to all of Grace Church that the light of Christ burns brightly within you and within us. Amen.